Once a powerhouse of German football, FC Nurnberg stands as one of the most decorated clubs in the country's history. With 9 national championships and 2 German cup victories, Der Club was a force to be reckoned with. But over the years, this club's fortunes have faded, and bouncing between divisions, they still find themselves in Bundesliga 2, struggling to reclaim the glory of its past. But that changes today. In this Football Manager 24 series, we're rebuilding FC Nurnberg and the pinnacle of German and European football. This isn't just a rebuild, it's a revival. So day 1 of taking over FC Nurnberg, and this club is relatively healthy for the position it finds itself in. In Bundesliga 2, it is a very competitive division, and looking at season preview, Nurnberg are destined to finish 7th according to the media. But somewhat optimistically, our best player is also the best player in the division. Robin Notch is the type of player you could build a club around at this level. And alongside other young stars such as Florian Flick, who's 24 years old, is a beast at the defensive midfielder slot. Alongside him, potentially Julian Justvan adding a bit of pace into the centre of the park. Jones Kortstrop, excuse the pronunciation, who can play anywhere on the pitch, is certainly somebody we're looking to develop, potentially in that right back row. And within the second team, there are a few youngsters who are looking to promote. One in particular, Finn, who would be a brilliant ball-playing defender. And a Greek lad we've got in on loan, Stefanos Zimas, who could be a superstar up top. When you factor those players into the fact we play in a 50,000 seater stadium, we've got great youth and great training facilities, this club is a bedrock that should be dominating European football within 5 years. So no pressure, easy rebuild. I've now got to put these boys into a tactic to hopefully get us out of this very difficult league. And this is how we're going to start. It's a bog standard 4-3-3 with a fantastic trio of central midfielders. Defensive midfielder defend, Roman playmaker, which is my favourite role at the moment, an advanced playmaker on attack. I was tempted to drop him into the hole, but he's going to start there for now, and hopefully with a few new additions that we've already brought in, this team is going to get us out of this league. So let's meet the new boys. First through the door was Badruddin Bouanani, who's got many vowels in his name and also a lot of talent. Out on that left-hand side as an inside forward, this kid could be special. He started okay in the league so far with a 6.93 average, but across the season, he could come good. Then we went over to Union Berlin to ask them to lend us Tom Roth for the season. He's a very solid left back, a 6'4". He's a very good physical presence, but with excellent technical skills. I think he could be a starlet at this division. In his first game, he got 2 assists and an 8.3 average. And the final signing for this period is Zeno De Bast from Sporting, who is probably going to become a world beater of a centre-back, but for now, he's a good squad addition for us. Our season started like a bat out of hell. We went up against Bayern Munich on a friendly, and we destroyed them. We went up against the big hitters of Germany, and we won 3-1. It was a very busy start, should we say. We went 1-0 up, and then Musiala pulls it back to Sane. As you can see, they played the full-strength team. But the star of the show was one of our boys. Serra in the middle gets his second goal, and he's not finished there. 23 minutes gone. Just 4 minutes later, we're coming forward. Vladson out on the wide. We've definitely trying to focus on crosses this season, and that's why. That made it 3-1. Our first friendly, and we destroy the biggest team in Germany 3-1. From there, it didn't exactly go to plan. The Bundesliga 2 has not started well. Struggling for goals, 2 games we've had 0 goals scored, which sees us sit in 14th position after 4 games. Not a great start, lots to change. Let's see if we can do that. Initially, we did turn the form around, and we did incredibly well and scored some wonderful goals against some of the smaller clubs. But when it came to playing up against the better teams in the division, we did get found out. Tactically, I think we're there, but there's a few quality gaps on that pitch. So at the halfway point of the season, we were very much floating in mid-table mediocrity. 8th position, 7 wins, 7 losses. We were close to getting into the top upper echelons, but we were 3 to 4 plays away. Results were incredibly sporadic, lots of draws and losses with the odd win thrown in. We are tweaking things as we go with the tactics, but if you look at it, not much has changed from the original setup, just player instructions. 2 things to note before we get to the end of the season. Finances aren't good, but the projection is better, and our transfer budget will creep up to decent figures. And at that stage, I can then look to develop this team. For now, we're looking at free signings, pre-contract signings before the end of the season, and hopefully, for a lot of these things coming through, we have got not a golden generation, but a 4.5 star, excellent intake with a few really good positions here that we could fill. I would love to get an attacking midfielder, a number 10 in the pocket, to boost this tactic a little bit more attacking. We did reverse the fortunes of losing against the big boys and decided to start winning against them with a couple of very good victories against some top clubs, but then inexcusably losing against some of the easiest teams in the division, dominating the games but just giving away open goals. So this season has definitely been one of ups and downs, and I am running with a club of players that I've not really done much to change. Season 2 is where the full rebuild starts. This is a very big squad, and looking at some of the youngsters that have come through, I'm confident that we'll have a good one. Finn is grown into a very nice centre-back at the back of the defence, and the star of the youth intake was Michael Stangl, who as a 4.5-star intake wasn't that good. So Season 2, let's get some new players in the door. Oh, I didn't mention the cup because we got smashed. Second round to FSV Mainz. Considering our transfer budget was zero, I was very happy when Oliver Vladson left the club for £2.8 million, followed by our best player, Robin Notch, but he was poached over to Saudi Arabia for big money, and a player who didn't play for us at all, Ivan Marquez, went off to Hoffenheim for £1 million. Along with a few other players, we earned £6.75 million in transfers that we could have spent, but I didn't. We started frugal, bringing in Portanova from Genoa, a great midfielder with lots of energy to go up and down that centre of the pitch. He came in for zilch. We went back to Italy, to Inter Milan for Sebastiano Esposito, a very good player, but also very hit and miss. He's not started very well in the season, but a great player, worth money, and he didn't cost us a penny. Then we brought in a new goalkeeper. We were desperate for somebody strong between the posts, and Marcel Lotka, 24 years old, has got a bit more potential to grow into, also free, and he's worth a bit of money also. After losing that left back, we brought in Myra Muheim for zero, yet again, 3.5-star potential. As a squad player, he's okay, but he is going to be our starting left back this season. And alongside him is Colin Klein-Beakel. Now this player we played against in a friendly, and he destroyed my team, so I immediately put a bid in for 1.9 million, a very big purchase for a club of our size, but we need to get somebody back there, and this is that lad. We followed that up with 2 loan signings. Lauren, who is a winger, he's probably a squad player, but I like the fact he can cover both sides of the pitch and behind the striker if needs be. Bit of pace, happy with that one. And also happy with Filippo Mane. He's probably going to be a squad player. He is good enough to start, but I want to develop the players we own, as you all should do. As a lone player, 5-star potential. He's a great player to bring on if we need help. And the last 2 are my favourites. Max Morstead, we paid a bit of money for this lad, but a 6'4", bit of pace, bit of technical ability and strong mentals. This kid could be special. He's worth 4.4, and we paid 1.5 from Hoffenheim's second team. And the last player is a very good winger, Gianluca Prestiani. Butchered that again. He's worth £50 million on loan from Benfica. He could do magical things for us this season. So our best 11 currently looks like this, and we have tweaked the midfield to have a bit more mobility in there. The halfback sits back to join the back 2, and then just Van and Portanova are free to burst forward. But the inside forward, the inverted winger, is making this a little bit narrower with the wing backs coming up, creating a 5-player attack, which so far is doing okay. We've won 3 of the games in the Bundesliga so far, which sees us sit in 5th position, just behind some big teams. But in terms of the preview, last season we were 8th. This season we're up to a nosebleed of a 4th. I don't think we'll go up this season because some of the teams who have come down, particularly HSV and Hertha, are going to be dominating this league. But if we can continue improving and bring in more free players, next season we're getting out of this league. And at the end of January, maybe I've sold us short. We're in 3rd position, we're 1 point off 2nd, and we are performing incredibly well. The theme of doing well against the big teams has continued. HSV came to town and Just decided to destroy them, to be fair. A lovely goal there to put us 1-0 up just before half-time, and a beautifully worked free kick comes back out to JJ, who runs around all the players to make it 2-0. We have done incredibly well against the big boys, and I'm hoping that continues in the cup. We are into the quarterfinals against Schalke. We have brought in 1 more player, which I'm hoping will allow us to push for the promotion this season. Paul Vanner has come in from Bayern Munich. He is not a wonder kid, but he is definitely on the fringes of being one. A fantastic player. I like him in the 10 role to play behind the striker. He is an absolute world-class player for us. I'm looking forward to next season. We've already brought some fantastic mobility into the centre of the park with Elian Fernandez Neto. He's a free player joining us from Red Bull Salzburg. 4.5-star potential. I think this could be a brilliant signing to help us push on next year. But let's find out what league that's going to be in. I said it was a tough league. This is going to be a long rebuild, I think. To say we fell away would be an understatement. Fitness played a massive part towards the end of the season. A couple of nasty injuries to some of our key players. We dropped down to 6th position, falling away quite heavily from the boys up top. Only 6 points off second, which I am keeping a bit of hope with, but not enough to get into the conversation of promotion. We were also knocked out by Schalke in the quarterfinal of that cup, so a disappointing season overall. In terms of the team, if we look at the big performers, Just Fan in the centre of the park with a 7.13 rating, 9 goals in 23 across the board, a very good Mazzala in the centre of the park. But our problem is up front. We need a 20 goal a season striker, and Sebastiano Esposito isn't that. Rocking up with 13 and 29. He comes and goes. He either has a very good game or disappears completely. And Max, the potential is there for him to be a bit better. When he starts, he scores. So next season, I might put all my hope into Max being our first star striker. In terms of our own players, they are developing nicely. Finn, who is our superstar centre-back, we're trying to get him minutes. He's played 33 games this season. He's worth 6 million, and he is wanted by a good couple of teams. Both clubs that have gone up this season are sniffing around. If we were to get that kind of money, I would slightly be happy because our projection isn't grown as much as I'd like. We'll get a decent transfer budget this season, but the wages are creeping up. All right, season 3, we are changing the tactic. We finally have a number 10 to sit in the role behind the striker, and we're going for it this season. Goals galore to get us out of this division. And the players we brought in, of course, it was Elian Fernandez Neto. The freebie at the end of the season, he's already worth 5.6 million and looks incredible for this standard. But up top is where we needed to improve, and Mike Trezor was one of those to first come in. A freebie from Burnley who had a decent season in the Premier League last year. He's come to us for nothing and will operate very nicely out wide. The number 11 as an inside forward stroke inverted winger. Very strong on his right foot. Excellent technical skills. I think he could be superb for us. And on the other wing is another superb player, Theo Bongonda, who I'm pretty sure you'll all recognise. A bit of a journeyman player. He's been around the block. We picked him up from Spartak Moscow. He was a free player. He's now worth 5 million. A little bit older, 30 years old. But I like what we got. For 1, 2, maybe 3 seasons maximum, I think he will help us get out this division. And the final signing is Calvin Ramsey, coming in from Liverpool, the right back who's very good going forward. He's not worth much because his contract is ending next season. If we could pick him up, that'd be lovely. But for us, it's a short-term fix for this season to, again, hopefully get us out of this league. So with that change of attacking players, and Paul Vanna, I didn't mention, he came on an 18-month loan. So we've got him in on loan until the end of the season, and he is developing lovely. We've dropped these 2 defenders back to Segundo Volantes with the physical presence of Elion. I want him to be mobile and get him back and forth, and the box-to-box wasn't really offering that. And Flick alongside him can do the job also. He's got the mentals and the natural fitness to run up and down that pitch. I think this mobility with the attacking flair of the wing backs, Just Fun, can operate very nicely as a left back. I don't think he's going to stay there, but it's an option. So this is all out attack for season 3. Looking at the season preview, we are second. We are destined to hopefully be one of the teams going up. We've recruited well. The players we brought in are amongst the key players and the media dream 11, and I genuinely think this is our season. Let's get into January. And when I mentioned goals are what we get in this season. We went up against the best team in the league, Mainz. We did fall 1-0 behind, but then our players, look how attacking we are. Loads of players in the box, and Morstead, as that striker, we finally have somebody who could potentially get the 20 goals a season. We equalised in Trezor from the spot, made it 2-1, but that wasn't enough for us. We're still pushing. Just Fun out wide, goes past his man, dinks the ball in, and flickered the back stick with it. Not a flicker, an absolute bullet of a header, 3-1, but that wasn't enough. The pace on the wings, the attacking ability. Kastrop is that right back we can bring on. Look at that, 4-1. The football we're playing is superb. And when you look down here, the shape of the team that we're actually putting out, it is beautiful. Triangles galore. And I love this tactic. We'll probably put it to be a download on the channel at some stage, just so you can give it a go yourself. And it's those sort of results that have seen us top of the league. We're the best goal scorers in the league by some distance, 37 goals. We do not concede that many either. There's only one team better than us. And I think we are looking very good for promotion this season. The big boys who should be going up, Mainz, they're struggling down in 12th position. So the big boys aren't performing, and we need to capitalise on it. Performance-wise, we're doing good. Jens, who is our winger, is our top goal scorer. 6 goals in 9 starts. He is looking incredible. Max up top is now the starter. We've started playing him. He's scoring goals. It makes sense. But at the end of the season, things will change. Some of the big players, their contracts are up at the end of the season. Do we keep them? Do we get rid of them? I don't know at the moment. Either do they. But player of the season for me is definitely this kid. He just does everything on a pitch. He's everywhere. I would like to find out what his kilometers per match are. It's obviously 900. What a great signing. Go and pick him up. Finally, we are out of this bloody league. It's been hard, but we are out in style. We have won the league by 4 points, 20 games from 34. We looked very good against every team. I think we were definitely the best team in this division. With 20 games, 6 draws and 8 losses, we were still the top goal scorers in the league. And in terms of goals scored against, again, only one team beating us, a really good result across the whole season. Max ended the season on a very respectable 13 goals in all competitions, and I think the step up to the Bundesliga might actually help him. He's a physical boy, and I think he will get 20 goals. Behind him, the other boys that we brought in were great contributors. 13 for Mike, 7 for our best player in my opinion. And in terms of the rating, again, some of the big boys we picked up in the summer have turned up and stepped up and improved. Finn is now an extremely good player. He's unhappy, he is wanted, and his contract is up next season. I do worry that we're not going to keep him, but we are in the big division. So hopefully now a nice contract for him and he'll stick around. To help us next season, we've finally got some money. We are now £20 million in the good place. £2.8 million transfer budget, and the projection for next season is just going to go up and up. Eventually £30 million to spend, and that's what we need to spend to survive in the Bundesliga. We've already brought in one player, Leonardo Buta, who is a left back. We picked him up in January with the intention of staying in Bundesliga 2, but he's going to be a good squad player for the Bundesliga. We've also developed the staff as we've bubbled along for the last couple of seasons, and we're looking quite healthy for Bundesliga 2. As we rock up to the next one, it may change. For those contracts that are expiring, I am going to keep a couple on, but some of them will be saying goodbye. Manola Portanova has already agreed to leave on a free transfer, as have a few others, but I'm okay. They're on big money and they're not really up to the standard of the Bundesliga. So on to season 4 and the start of the proper adventure. I genuinely think I'm going to build the team here that could win the Bundesliga. Some of the best free transfers I've ever made in Football Manager. After Leonardo Buta came in the left back, and he's probably going to be our starting left back to be honest, we went in for one of the best ones. Jakub Kaminski as a winger out there, he is great. He's already worth 18 to 22 million. Didn't pay a penny for him, came in from Wolfsburg, already had a very good seasons in the Bundesliga, and he's come to us for nothing. But this is the boy from Liverpool, Jarell Quansah. I mean, come on, what's he doing with us? He's 6'6". He's a physical specimen. He's technically brilliant, and he didn't cost us a penny. He went out to Bournemouth last year and didn't play many games, so he's going to come here as our star. I love him. Alongside him as right back is Fard Mufi, who's a very nice technical right back, and as a complete wing back, which we're not going to use him as, I think he could be very good at this standard. Definitely our starting right back. Which, as a segue, is because we've lost Jones Konstrup. He did not want to renew his contract, so he's gone to one of our rivals, Dusseldorf. Another player at the back or in defensive midfielders where we're likely to play him is Moscardo. In real life, an absolute superstar of future football. He's coming from PSG on a short-term loan, I believe until Christmas, and he's going to be great as a backup Segunda Volante. The player who is not a backup is Janis Konstantelias, who is the perfect number 10. Technically, he is incredible. At this standard, I think he can do a job. At 24, he's got a bit of room to grow into. I don't think there's much potential there, but coming from PAOK in Greece, he's had a couple of very good high-performing seasons. Let's see how he does. And the final lad in the door is Sergi Altimira. He was a free player. He's 25 years old. He's come from a very good standard of football yet again, and I think as that backup Segunda Volante, he's going to be very good for us this season, and we might even get rid of him in the future. But at the moment, a star player. So now looking at the best 11 players in our club, this is what we'll work with. Mosted, Kaminski, Konstantelias, Bongonda, Fernandez, Neto, Moscardo in the centre, Buta, Jeltz, who's still developing lovely. Alongside him is Quansah and Mufi out wide. That is a good team. Survival is what it's all about this year in the Bundesliga. Looking at the season preview fills me with confidence. We are 13th. There are teams below us who are a lot worse, certainly bigger than us, but if we can survive and grow and get some real money in from the end of season performance money they throw out in Germany, we could grow very quickly. But also when you look at the players we're up against, it is a bit scary. So let's get into January. After our first ever friendly of the Saver, we beat Real Madrid 3-0, quite easy. In the league, it was a different story, but we did not get embarrassed. Musiala, who is still one of the best players in the game, stood up and shone. He scored 2 goals against us, one from the back stick there and the very nice technical one for the first goal. But then we did bring it back to 2-1 in the second half with Max at the near post header. And that's how the game went down. And in terms of the stats, we did not embarrass ourselves. Once again, analytical data, the shape of our team is quite nice. We were pulled about a little bit more by a very good quality team, but we did not embarrass ourselves at all. And considering the teams we've been up against, we haven't been embarrassed whatsoever. We've lost a few games along the way. We've had some little pockets of poor form, but ultimately we are doing very, very well. 6th position, which would see us get into European places. It is very close behind the top 2. From Stuttgart down on 29 all the way down to Frankfurt in 10th. We are in a conversation where Europe is a genuine possibility. We're doing okay for goals scored. I would like a few more. And in terms of goals conceded, we are one of the better. So at the back, that is our strength. Going forward, maybe not so. And that's echoed when you look at the average ratings. Our best goal scorers, Max, is finally turning up. 10 goals in the Bundesliga. And if you look at all these lovely arrows shooting up, he's going to become an incredible world beater in future football. Behind him is Theo, who's now at 32, is probably his last proper season of growing, and he is actually joining. I didn't even notice that. He's agreed that imminently. He is off to Saudi Arabia on big bucks, no doubt. But his final farewell, everything's green and there are goals galore. And we've got the usual performance. Elian is still doing incredibly well at the standard, and he is now wanted by Hoffenheim. He's not going anywhere. Our best youth proposition currently is Marcus Moura, who can play left back, probably is his best role, but he wants to be a wide target forward. A 6'2" with those stats, I don't think he's going to be. And the one thing you can clearly notice now is the size of the squad. It is very small. We've trimmed a lot of the fat, a lot of the players that are left on free contracts, and we do need some other positions. Goalkeeper in particular, and definitely at the back. There are gaps here, and I do worry that with the fitness that this league demands, we are going to struggle for the rest of the season. And we've also sold a few players, but it's not been through choice. Finn did not want to sign a contract, so Man City of all teams came in for £4.3 million, I want to say it is, and he's probably going to have a terrible career with them, but what a great player. And the second was Sergi. Now, considering we paid nothing for him, he's gone off to Saudi Arabia for £5 million, potentially raising up to 6.25. I'll take that one all day long. So we're in the 12th of January, and we need players. Let's see what we can do. And the only player we brought in was a superstar, Alexander Pavlovic, all the way from Bayern Munich. We paid good big money for him, £6 million. It was probably more than I wanted to pay, but I felt we had to, simply because we were struggling. Question about this. Alexander is 24, which is in 2026. 16 years ago, he was in this game. 16 take away from 24 is 8. Was this guy really signed for Bayern Munich at 9 years old? I find that fascinating. Comments down below, please let me know. And as you can see, we're now at the end of May. The season is over, and in terms of his performance, Alexander didn't do that well. But across the board, we did incredibly well. We finished 6th place. 16 wins, 9 draws, 9 losses. We are in Europe. The first attempt at the Bundesliga, we've done incredibly well. And looking at the squad, there are some really nice performers within the division. Theo was the best by far, and we're losing him. I'm a little bit gutted about that one. I think maybe one more season he could have done okay. But what fills me with hope is that we can do better. And what will that person bring to the team? A lot, I think. And the star of the show for me is Big Max. Up top, 17 goals in his first season in the Bundesliga. He is now turning into a well-rounded, incredible striker. He just fell short of the Golden Boot, beaten by Guirassy, who has scored 17 in less appearances. But still, what a performance. Looking forward, we have made a few signings already, only because this squad is tiny. Henry Blank is going to come in as a centre-back. He is decent. He's not brilliant. I think he will do as a squad player more than nicely. Alex Valle is an actual good left-back. He's better than what we have, and I think if he were to come in with these really nice traits, aside from dives into tackles, although I do kind of like that one, it will do very nicely for us. And then finally, Tim has come in, 3.5-star potential. He can play in lots of positions. I kind of like him as a centre-back with his height and his really good mentals and composures. But as a Segunda Volante, with the physicals there, I think he can do half decent. There are a few players, once again, as always, up for contract now at the end of this month. Esposito is likely to leave. I don't want to pay him that kind of money when he's not really playing that much, and I think we can do better. So I'm gutted because this kid I genuinely thought was going to be a superstar, and he's been a bit of a damp squib. As always, I've not mentioned the cup because we're terrible in it. Knocked out in the second round every time. It's tough. I don't get that one. We're going to get another competition added alongside it next year for the Europa League. We need a much bigger squad. So season 5, the final season of this rebuild, we need to go and spend some money. And we've got £32 million to spend. And I've had to stop at this point. This rebuild I've done so properly. It's far beyond any rebuild I've ever done. I've spent far too long doing it. And I've genuinely fallen in love with this club, and I'm going to continue the save off camera. And I've now cleared the debts. At the start of this, we had a massive amount of debts there. Due to how well we've done and how good we are at getting freebies in and selling them, this is incredible. I'm so proud of that. We are creating a sustainable club in the Bundesliga. And now I'm going to go and spend £30 million on players. Now, before we spend any money on incomings, I am heartbroken. Elian has left us. He demanded to go. I wanted to keep him. Schalke came in for 6.5 million, which, if you ask me, is pennies for a guy who's rocked up for almost 60 games for the club and just decided to go. So he's gone, which left us with even more money to spend. So after the free incomers of Alex, Big Tim and Mr. Blank, we've gone for quality, and the first in is Faustino Añaren, who was a Chelsea player for many years. He's been around the block. He's done okay in the Bundesliga too. For the first time, he's come up to the big boy league. And as a shadow striker, or somebody technically behind the striker, I think he's going to be very good for us. As always at this stage, completely free sign-in, and he's worth £6 million. After that was our biggest spend yet. And I think I've done well. It's an investment. When you look at Andre Santos, he's an incredible footballer. Lots of 14s and a couple of 15s in there for a 24-year-old who's still developing. He's 3.5, potential 4-star. We paid 10.75. Bayern paid 16.5 just last season, and he didn't play a single game. So we've gone in there, and you know what? I did pay this money, and they immediately accepted it. So I think I could have got him for less, but I'm really happy with what we've got. I'm not happy that he's on £51,000 a week, but we are adapting to the situation we're in, which is top division football. The next sign-in is the first wonder kid I've bought in the game, Vladimir Jeftic. As always, Serbian, Eastern European, there is a hotbed of talent, and this literal spirited wonder kid is 19 years old. We paid 5 million, which was a release clause for him, and he does look incredible. There are gaps in his game, finishing, crossing. There's technical things here that I don't love, but defensively, tackling, marking, all the things that you want, anticipation, I'm really happy with. As a Segunda Volante, as I mentioned, there are gaps, but we're going to train him up. Look what he's worth, £30 million, and we paid 5 million. I think this kid could be huge for us. After that, I clearly got addicted to buying wonder kids. This kid popped up on a scout report as the top A+ 4-star signing. You have to go and get him. And I didn't initially love him, to be fair. Vision isn't great. Acceleration isn't great. There's a lot of technical gaps in his game. But then I looked a bit closer. 18 years old, 6'2". He's a physical player. He is a wonder kid. He's resolute. He's got a really good mental ability there. I thought he could be incredible. And once again, he's worth £57 million, and we paid 15 for him. So I think we've done okay with this one. And the last one was a free signing. Diante Ramage has come in as a backup goalkeeper. He's not going to play many games, but we needed somebody in there. The squad, as you can see, is a lot bigger. We've kept hold of the talent that we needed. As always, we've gone for the best 11 in the club. And what I love about this now is we genuinely have some backups. Good players on the bench. So Klein Beckel could come in there for blank. You could quite easily put our superstar wonder kid in here for either of those. I'd really like these two to start kicking it off, because Pavlovic alongside Santos is a really nice defensive, mobile midfield duo. Looking at our finances, we still have a little bit of money left, but we are spending far too much on wages. We've got a month left of the transfer window. If we sell somebody, we will bring somebody else in. But as things stand, I'm very happy with the lay of the land, and looking at the competitions, we should be okay. Europa League, we enter the league phase on the 9th of September, That's going to be the litmus test, if the boys are going to be fit enough to cope with all these games. So let's get into the midpoint of the season, of the final season, and see how we do. So let's catch up first of all with the European football, because that's the exciting part in it. We went up against AC Milan, some really tough teams in this competition, and the quality shone through. We lost quite easy, to be fair, 2-0 eventually. Oscar Bob scoring for them, and then it comes through to Okafor to make it 2-0. Yeah, tough one so far. But with dogged determination, we followed that up with 3 victories in the Europa League. And that has seen us in a very nice position. Anirin made it 1-0 in the second half, and we followed that up with a second goal. Some beautiful play from the boys, and Trezor cuts it back for Flick to finish it 2-0 against Shakhtar Donetsk. And that was a really nice performance. Once again, the shape of our team looking beautiful up top, seeing us sit in 8th position, which is enough to qualify into the knockouts. Looking at the teams around us, as you can see, there are some huge clubs there. Our last fixtures, Napoli and Newcastle. I don't know if we're going to get through. I really do hope we do, but it's going to be tough. Taking a look at the league, we're doing okay. 7th would suit me all day long. We're not doing terribly. We've lost a few games against some of the lesser teams. Dortmund, believe it or not, are struggling this season. They are below us. But we're not out of it. We're still in the conversation for European positions. Let's forget about Champions League. We're not at that stage yet. But if we were maybe 5th, 6th, 7th, I would take that all day long. At the end of the season, we did not bring in a single other player. We did sell Marcus to FC Köln for 1.2. He was getting worse and worse. He was dropped from 5-star to 4-star, and just the ability wasn't there. So I thought, let's get some money in, because we kind of needed it. And that squad has done us very well this season, to be fair. Max is once again a good goal scorer in this division. 11 in 16 in the Bundesliga is one hell of a return. Even though his average rating isn't touching a 7, I'm really happy with how this kid's developed. And the wonder kid, Marvin, he is our best performer. He is consistently turning up and doing his thing. He doesn't make any mistakes. He's just like a metronome doing what needs to be done. He's got loads of room to improve. He has continued to improve. I'm so glad I paid a lot of money for him in the grand scheme, but he's worth so much more. So let's finish off this rebuild, end of season 5, and see how we can get on in Europe. Imagine we do pick up a trophy. I doubt it, but just let's imagine. So luckily for us, we did get through the group stages of the Europa League. We went up against Napoli, and it was a very open, cagey game. A lot of tactical decisions here, but we did come through 0-0, which was a great result. So on to Newcastle, which for the most part was a good game, but quality shone through. And I think it was fitness as well. We started dying towards the end of it. Even though changes were being made, we were struggling. And quality shone through. They went 2-0 up in the 88th minute, but we scraped through on goal difference. So we are in the knockouts up against Braga. And in the first leg, we drew the game 2-2 at their place. So they've come to our pitch, and we turned up and destroyed them. Started early on. Within the first 10 minutes, we went 1-0 up. Bit of a scare with a strange, very strangely worked goal here. Look at that. Never seen anything like that in my life, and I'm sure he was offside. That was 1-1. But then in the 30th minute, a few injuries, but Trezor, who really turned up, and our wonder kid Jeftic, who's literally got a mohawk in game, made it 2-1. And the 90th minute, they're pushing forward. Kaminsky at the back stick, knocks it down, and look at that for a finish. 3-1, we go into the next stage of the knockouts, which was up against Feyenoord. Now, Feyenoord are a decent team, but we kind of lucked out. There were some big teams amongst us. We were 1-0 up within the first couple of minutes, and then within the first 6 minutes, look at that for a pass. And Kaminsky, top corner, 2-0. He did check for offside, but it was a goal. And then Feyenoord started to come back into it, but luckily for us, terrible mistake at the back there, made it 2-1. But luckily for us, Mosted in the 13th minute with the absolute lovely dink to make it a goal. Our wonder kid coming forward, Anirin dinks over Mosted. He's made it 4-1 in 32 minutes. This kid is performing at such a high standard. Then they come forward with big numbers. Pedersen out wide, dinks it in. Defensively, we are still lacking at times, it has to be said. But then in the 90th minute, Trezor picks the ball up. Back to Breithout, Big Tim, who makes it 5-2. That's us through to the next stage of the knockout. Max with a superstar performance and a hat-trick. And next up was a game I was really scared about. Napoli. Now, Napoli are great in this, but we beaten them in the first leg 3-0. And within 8 minutes, it gave us a 4-goal advantage. They came back in and they did play very well, to be fair. And this was the equaliser in the 36th minute. A bit of a bounce around, a bit of a messy one. But then We chased the victory. 77th minute, some great work out wide here with the boys. Ball comes in eventually, and Trezor, who is a great signing to be fair, he's low-key been absolutely brilliant for us. We beat Napoli, and that was in the quarterfinals. We are in the semi-finals of the Europa League. This is incredible. That is until you go up against Liverpool and you realise they're massively overpowered in this game. Within the first 2 minutes, Gravenberch with the absolutely stunning goal makes it 1-0. A mistake at the back here from Liverpool lets us back in. Just good pressing, and Max equalises. 37th minute. Is there a chance of us going through against the big boys of England? McAllister gets it into Andre with an absolutely wonderful finish just at the start of the second half. We're 2-1 down. The game isn't over yet. We're playing out from the back, which we like to do, but the Liverpool boy forgot he changed clubs. 57 minutes is 3-1. But again, we were playing all right. Then Anirin brings us forward here with a lovely ball through to Kaminsky, dinks it in. 3-2 away at Anfield. We have not embarrassed ourselves one little bit. There is opportunity and chance for us to get out of this into the final in the second leg at home. Let's do it. At least I hoped anyway. Liverpool turned up and battered us to start with. In the lovely purple kits, they went up early on, and then 12 minutes later, Yildiz, who shouldn't have had that opportunity, we should have snapped him far further out. And then just after the half-hour mark, I thought it was going to be quite embarrassing at this stage. Salah with a wonderful goal. And then eventually we turned up. Kaminsky cuts inside in the 44th minute. Trezor goes past the man with ease, cuts inside with a beautiful finish to make it 3-1 or 6-3 on aggregate. We weren't going through at this stage. It was all about pride, and I was happy that we did come through with pride. Max gets a goal. It's 3-2. 6-4 on aggregate. We go out in the semi-finals of the Europa League. In the league, we did okay. We finished 9th position. We had a bit of a fitness issue towards the end with all the games culminating with the Europa competition. We only lost the 7 games and we drew an awful lot of them. Goals were an issue. 50 and 34 is not enough for me. As you can see, the squad is still threadbare. It is not full of players, but it is full of quality. We are looking for a bit more potential. When we look at the 2 wonder kids and how well they've done, I want to continue growing that. Max is my star. 28 goals in all competitions, 18 in the league and 10 in the Europa League. Might see him as the top goal scorer. I'll have to check. He is now a world-class striker. He's maxed out his potential. He's worth £20 million. Such a good player. Go and buy him. As you can see, we didn't bring in any more players that season. We wanted to work with what we've got. And in terms of the finances, we are doing very well. We've got £60 million to spend in the transfer kitty, and our money is growing exponentially every year. We're looking at some youngsters we're bringing in to continue growing this club. Every year we get a decent intake. It's not been as good as the first one, and the odd player comes through who could potentially make it, but as always with the short-term rebuild, they're not really going to factor in. Tactics were tweaked even further, just slight player instructions. Trezor had a few added to him, and there are a few that make this tactic work wonders. Little tip for you, always get a support with an attack and an attack on a support. Don't know why, it just works. And that's the manager's seat rebuilt. We've gone to Nurnberg, one of the historical clubs of German football, and we built them into genuine European and local powerhouse. As always, thanks for watching. If you did enjoy this, watch this video next, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.